Most people think high performance is reserved for a special kind of person: the genius, the athlete, the born leader, the ultra-disciplined productivity machine who wakes up at 4 o'clock a.m., drinks green liquid, runs uphill, and somehow answers emails with emotional stability. But Brendon Burchard's high-performance habits makes a much more hopeful argument. High performance is not a personality type. It is a set of practices. You do not need to be naturally fearless, endlessly energetic, perfectly organized, or blessed by the productivity gods. You need to train the habits that make excellence more likely. That is the heart of this book. Burchard spent years studying what high performers actually do differently, not just what they believe, not just how they describe themselves, but what they practice again and again across different careers, personalities, and backgrounds. His conclusion is simple. Successful people are not all the same, but they often practice the same 6 habits. He calls them the HP6. Seek clarity, generate energy, raise necessity, increase productivity, develop influence, demonstrate courage. These habits are not magic. They are not motivational fireworks that disappear by Monday morning. They are practical behaviors that can be repeated, measured, and improved. And that is the good news. Because if high performance is a practice, then you can practice it too. Slowly, calmly, maybe with a snack. Very capybara friendly. The big idea: high performance is deliberate. The big message of high performance habits is that extraordinary results come from intentional living. Most people drift. They wake up, react to the day, handle what is urgent, make a few promises to improve later, then repeat the same pattern tomorrow. High performers do something different. They pause. They define who they want to be. They choose the energy they want to bring. They connect their work to a deeper reason. They focus on outputs that matter. They influence others with purpose. And they act with courage even when the path feels uncomfortable. In other words, they do not wait to become their best selves by accident. They design the conditions for their best self to show up. This is the main contrast in the book. Average performers react to life. High performers intentionally shape life. That does not mean they control everything. Nobody does. But they take responsibility for the few things that make the biggest difference. Their focus, energy, attitude, standards, relationships, and courage. Let's break down the 6 habits. Habit 1. Seek clarity. High performers are not necessarily smarter than everyone else, but they are often clearer. They know who they want to become, what they value, what they are working toward, and how they want to show up in different situations. This matters because confusion is expensive. When you are unclear, every decision becomes harder. You say yes to the wrong things. You waste energy on fake priorities. You compare yourself to people living completely different lives. You chase goals that look impressive but feel empty. Burchard argues that clarity is not something you simply have. It is something you generate. You create clarity by asking better questions regularly. Envision the future. Burchard recommends getting clear in 4 areas: yourself, your social world, your skills, your service. Ask yourself, who do I want to become? How do I want to treat other people? What skills must I develop to succeed in the future? How can I create value and serve others with excellence? This is powerful because it moves clarity from vague self-reflection into practical design. You are not just asking, who am I? You are asking, who am I becoming? That question changes everything. Decide the feeling you want to bring. Most people let emotions happen to them. They enter a meeting stressed, enter a conversation defensive, enter work distracted, and then wonder why the day feels chaotic. High performers are more intentional. Before entering a situation, ask, what feeling do I want to bring here? What feeling do I want to create for others? What energy would my best self bring into this moment? This is a small habit, but it can completely change your behavior. A parent can choose patience before walking into the house. A creator can choose curiosity before starting a script. A leader can choose confidence before a meeting. A student can choose focus before studying. You may not control every emotion, but you can influence the emotional tone you bring. That is high performance in real life. Define what is meaningful. Burchard makes a crucial point. Achievement is not the same as alignment. You can achieve something and still feel empty if it was never truly meaningful to you. Many people climb ladders only to discover the ladder was leaning against the wrong wall. They got the title, the money, the recognition, or the applause, but not the fulfillment. So before chasing a goal, ask, why does this matter to me? Who does this help? What value does this create? How can I make this effort personally meaningful? High performance is not just doing more, it is doing what matters with more intention. Habit 2. Generate energy. Energy is the fuel of high performance. This sounds obvious, but many people ignore it. They want more productivity, confidence, creativity, and discipline, but they do not protect the physical and emotional energy required to produce those things. You cannot consistently perform at a high level while treating your body like a rented laptop with 3% battery. Burchard argues that high performers generate energy deliberately. They do not simply hope to feel good. They create conditions that help them feel alive, focused, and ready. Release tension. Set intention. One of the most practical tools in the book is the transition ritual. Our days are full of transitions. Sleep to work, home to commute, meeting to meeting, work mode to family mode, focused work to social interaction. Most people drag stress from one activity into the next. They finish a tense call, then carry that tension into lunch. They leave work mentally overloaded, then bring that energy home. They move through the day like a browser with too many tabs open. Burchard suggests a simple reset. Pause. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply. Repeat the word, release. Relax your body. Then ask what intention you want to bring into the next activity. This takes less than a minute, but it helps you stop leaking energy across the day. Very useful. Very capybara, taking one conscious breath before re-entering society. Bring the joy. Burchard also argues that joy is not something you wait for. It is something you bring. This does not mean pretending everything is amazing. It means choosing to notice what is good, anticipate positive outcomes, and bring warmth into ordinary moments. High performers tend to generate positive emotion on purpose. They look for reasons to be grateful. They bring enthusiasm to interactions. They create small moments of celebration. They choose to make things lighter when possible. This matters because joy is energizing. A person who brings joy into their day has more stamina than someone who treats every task like a punishment from the universe. The lesson: do not wait for the day to become joyful. Bring a little joy to the day. Optimize health. Burchard does not overcomplicate this. Sleep matters. Exercise matters. Nutrition matters. You already know this. Most people do. The issue is not information. The issue is execution. High performance requires respecting your body as the foundation of your ambition. If you want a better life, your physical habits cannot be an afterthought forever. Start with the basics. Sleep enough. Move daily. Eat in a way that gives you energy. Drink water. Take recovery seriously. Not glamorous. Not viral, but powerful. The body is not separate from success. It is the vehicle. Habit 3. Raise necessity. Motivation is nice. Necessity is stronger. Burchard argues that high performers do not merely want to succeed. They feel they must succeed. Not from desperation, but from identity, purpose, duty, and urgency. They connect performance to something deeper than mood, because mood is unreliable. Some days you feel inspired. Some days you feel like a sleepy capybara wrapped in existential fog. Necessity helps you act even when motivation disappears. Know who needs your A game. One of the best questions in the book is, who needs me on my A game right now? This instantly shifts your attention from vague ambition to meaningful responsibility. Maybe your family needs your best. Maybe your team needs your leadership. Maybe your audience needs your message. Maybe your future self needs you to stop making excuses. Maybe one specific person is depending on you. When you know who you are showing up for, effort becomes easier to access. High performance often becomes more sustainable when it is not only about you. Affirm the why. Burchard encourages people to repeat their reasons often and out loud. This may sound simple, but it works because the brain responds to repeated cues. When you regularly remind yourself why something matters, your behavior begins to align with that reason. Your why could be freedom, service, family, mastery, health, creative expression, financial security, a mission bigger than yourself. The point is not to have a dramatic slogan. The point is to keep your reason visible. Because when the work gets hard, vague goals collapse. Clear reasons hold. Level up your squad. High performers are careful about their environment. They spend more time around people who elevate their standards. This does not mean abandoning everyone who is not successful. It means being honest about the influence of your social world. Energy is contagious. Standards are contagious. Excuses are contagious. Ambition is contagious. If you want to grow, spend more time with people who challenge you, encourage you, and normalize excellence. Find mentors. Join better rooms. Build supportive friendships. Work with people who are stronger than you in areas where you want to improve. And remember, the best way to meet extraordinary people is to become more extraordinary yourself. Habit 4. Increase productivity. Burchard makes a key distinction. High performers are not just busy, they are effective. Busy people do many things. Productive people do the right things. This is a massive difference. Many people use busyness as a badge of honor. But being overloaded is not the same as being impactful. In fact, constant busyness often means you are reacting instead of choosing. High performers focus on what Burchard calls prolific quality output, or PQO. This means producing the work that actually matters in your field or life. Focus on the outputs that matter. Not every task deserves equal attention. If you are a writer, your key output is writing. If you are a YouTuber, it might be publishing strong videos. If you are a salesperson, it might be meaningful conversations and closed deals. If you are a leader, it might be decisions, coaching, and team alignment. The question is, what output, if improved and repeated, would most change your results? Once you know that, protect it. Do not spend all day polishing the edges of your work while neglecting the core output that moves everything forward. The main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. Simple. Annoying. True. Chart your 5 moves. For any big goal, Burchard recommends asking, if there were only 5 major moves required to make this goal happen, what would they be? This is a powerful planning tool because it forces you to simplify. Instead of drowning in endless tasks, identify the few major moves that truly matter. For example, if your goal is to grow a YouTube channel, your 5 moves might be: clarify the niche, build a repeatable content system, improve titles and thumbnails, publish consistently, study analytics, and improve retention. Once you know the 5 moves, break each one into projects, deadlines, and scheduled actions. A dream becomes real when it enters the calendar. Practice progressive mastery. High performers do not just work harder, they get better on purpose. Progressive mastery means identifying the skills that matter and improving them deliberately. Ask, what 5 skills would make me much better 3 years from now? Then build a plan to develop those skills. For a creator, that might be storytelling, editing, voice, research, and packaging. For an entrepreneur, it might be sales, hiring, finance, product, and marketing. For a student, it might be focus, writing, memory, communication, and critical thinking. Do not try to master everything. Choose the key skills that create leverage, then practice them with focus, feedback, and consistency. Habit 5. Develop influence. High performance is not only personal, it is social. At some point, if you want to create meaningful impact, you need to influence others. Not manipulate, not pressure, not become a motivational billboard. Influence means helping people think better, grow stronger, and move toward a better standard. Burchard says high performers often become role models. They shape the beliefs and behaviors of people around them. Teach people how to think. Average influencers tell people what to think. Great influencers teach people how to think. They ask better questions. They introduce new perspectives. They help others see themselves, the world, and their possibilities differently. Instead of saying, "Do this," they might ask, "What would happen if we tried this? What are we not seeing? What would your best self choose here? How could we approach this with more courage?" Questions invite ownership, and people are more likely to act on ideas they helped discover. Challenge people to grow. People appreciate those who see their potential. High performers challenge others with care. They ask people to rise, to contribute more, to live with more integrity, to treat others better, to stop hiding from their own gifts. This kind of challenge is not criticism. It is belief with standards. It says, "I see more in you, and I care enough to say it." That is powerful influence. Role model the way. Burchard notes that many high performers think often about being a role model. This is a serious question. If people copied your behavior, would you be proud of what they learned? Your habits teach. Your attitude teaches. Your standards teach. Your response to stress teaches. Your discipline, kindness, courage, and consistency all teach. Influence begins before you speak. It begins with how you live. Habit 6. Demonstrate courage. Courage is the habit that strengthens all the others. Without courage, clarity stays theoretical. Energy gets wasted on comfort. Necessity fades. Productivity avoids the hard thing. Influence becomes people-pleasing. Courage turns intention into action. Burchard argues that high performers are not fearless. They simply act despite fear, discomfort, uncertainty, and struggle. Honor the struggle. Struggle is not a sign that something has gone wrong. Struggle is part of growth. High performers accept this. They do not panic every time things become difficult. They expect difficulty and interpret it as part of the path. This mindset matters because many people quit not because they are incapable, but because they believe struggle means they are failing. But struggle often means you are stretching. The question is not, how do I avoid struggle? The question is, how do I honor this struggle and keep moving with strength? Share your truth and ambitions. Many people hide their real goals because they fear judgment. They downplay their dreams. They shrink their ambition. They pretend to want less than they do. Burchard encourages the opposite. Share your truth. Share your ambitions. Stop apologizing for wanting to grow. This does not mean bragging. It means living honestly. People respect authenticity far more than fake humility. If something matters to you, say it. Then back it up with action. Find someone to fight. For one of the strongest sources of courage is love. High performers often have someone they fight for: a child, a partner, a parent, a team, a community, a future version of themselves, a person they want to serve. We often do more for others than we do for ourselves. So ask, who am I fighting for? When courage has a face, it becomes easier to rise. How to apply the HP6 in real life. Here is a simple way to turn the book into action. Start with 1 week. Each morning, ask 6 questions. What clarity do I need today? What energy do I want to bring? Why is it necessary for me to show up well? What output matters most today? Who can I influence or serve? What courageous action am I avoiding? You do not need a perfect life overhaul. Just use these questions to interrupt autopilot. Then choose one small action. Clarify one goal. Take one recovery break. Repeat your why. Protect one deep work block. Encourage one person. Do one brave thing. Small actions repeated consistently become identity. That is the real path to high performance. Final takeaways. High Performance Habits is a book about becoming more intentional, energized, courageous, and useful. Its core lesson is not that you need to become superhuman, it is that you need to become more deliberate. The 6 habits are: seek clarity so you know who you are becoming. Generate energy so you can show up fully. Raise necessity so your goals feel meaningful and urgent. Increase productivity so your effort creates real results. Develop influence so your success helps others rise. Demonstrate courage so fear does not get the final vote. High performance is not about being busy, loud, perfect, or constantly intense. It is about consistently bringing your best energy to what matters most. And maybe that is the most encouraging part. You do not need to change everything today. You just need to pause, choose, and practice. One clearer decision, one better habit, one brave conversation, one focused block of work, one moment of bringing your A game when it would be easier not to. That is how high performance begins. Not with a dramatic transformation montage, with a daily choice. So choose one HP6 habit to practice today. Seek a little more clarity. Generate a little more energy. Raise your standards by one honest step. And if this summary helped you feel more focused, energized, or ready to grow, subscribe to the Lazy Capybaras for more calm, practical, and slightly unbothered book summaries about productivity, psychology, business, mindset, money, and personal growth.